So, you've done the impossible. Yes, the impossible. I'm not talking about saving a baby from a burning building or lifting a car with your bare hands, no. What I'm referring to is that you've created a fan that is so interested in you that they've paid you money in exchange for merch related to your music. No small feat. I commend you for this. But don't celebrate too hard, because if you're watching this video, I'm sure a little piece of anxiety has been creeping up in the back of your mind since you started putting your merch online for purchase. And it's a little voice that's been saying, how am I gonna ship all of this stuff out if I ever sell it? That little piece of anxiety is not merely an emotional thought designed to rain on your parade. It's actually a sensible question and something you need to answer early on. Thankfully, I'm here to show you everything you need to properly fulfill orders you receive on your merch, and how to do it cheaply, fast, and in an orderly manner. After this video, you'll never face that mini moment of panic again when you get a merch order. So, let's get right into it. First, packing supplies. For most burgeoning indie musicians, you'll likely be selling some of the following items: shirts, hoodies, CDs, cassettes, vinyl, and other smaller apparel and accessory items. Obviously, you might get a little fancier than that, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume you're selling one or a few of those merch items at the moment. So, what packing supplies do you need on hand to make sure you can handle any combination of those items within an order? Well, let's go one at a time. CDs and cassettes go in what's called a bubble mailer. This is a padded envelope that's basically lined with a thin bubble wrap material and seals shut with a pre-applied adhesive. I find that 6 by 10 inch bubble mailers are perfect to fit most combinations of CDs and cassettes. It fits about 5 standard CDs and 3 cassettes, meaning you can also fit combinations of CDs and cassettes in here pretty safely. In a pinch, you can also stuff a shirt in here if that's the only thing in the order. However, that leads me to my next topic, apparel. You will typically want to send all apparel in what's called a poly mailer. Poly mailers are simple plastic bags that have a good resiliency for when they're potentially tossed around through the mailing system. There are many different sized poly mailers, but I find that a 9 by 12 inch poly mailer is the perfect size for most orders I get. This will hold up to 3 shirts if rolled and or folded correctly. And you can also throw CDs and shirts together in a poly mailer if you wrap the shirts tightly around the CDs in a neat fashion. Additionally, any smaller apparel item like wristbands, bandanas, beanies, socks, etc. all work great in here. Now, one last thing I'll say about poly mailers. You may need to look at some bigger poly mailers if you're trying to sell something like hoodies. So to figure out if this is big enough or what size you need, just fold that hoodie up tightly, get some measurements, and shop around for the size poly mailer that you'll need to fit that inside. Now, one thing you do not want to put in a poly mailer is a cassette. You'll want to save that for a bubble mailer to protect the plastic case. This also goes generally for any fragile items. So let's pause here. Between bubble mailers and poly mailers, you'll be able to ship several combinations of apparel, CDs, and cassettes. And for you, that might be all you need. So just make sure you have a small stock of bubble and poly mailers, and you probably won't ever encounter a merch order that stumps you. Now, there is one more item we need to address that may be relevant to you, and that is vinyl. For vinyl, you will need a 12 by 12 by 1 inch vinyl mailer box. These boxes can fit almost 4 vinyls inside, but if you have just one vinyl getting set out, you'll want to either use corrugated pads or bubble wrap to sandwich the vinyl inside and stabilize it. I have done it both with corrugated pads and this bubble wrap type thing, and I've had no complaints about delivery. What's great about the vinyl box is that you could fulfill an order that had a shirt, CD, and vinyl all together. The shirts can actually be wrapped around the vinyl, which serve the purpose of the bubble wrap or corrugated pads, and the CDs are so thin that you could even lay them across the vinyl and it won't make the package too thick to not fit in the box. So bundling things with vinyl is an easy win, and for the most part, we'll probably be able to fit all in this box. So all right, let's take stock of everything and anything you might need to ship any order from your merch store. Number 1, 6x10 bubble mailers. Number 2, 9x12 poly mailers, or bigger ones if you have some larger apparel. 12x12x1 vinyl boxes, corrugated pads or bubble wrap for those vinyl boxes, and just some packing tape such as this to seal up your vinyl box. That is all you would need, assuming you were selling every kind of merch item I listed earlier. It's highly possible you only need one or a couple of these based on what you offer. We've linked below each of these items from a company called Uline. They're in the description below if you want a vetted option. That's mostly where I source these things from. Otherwise, these can be found on several different shipping supply company websites if you want to shop around and get a different price. Okay, so that is truly everything you need to pack up most orders you'll receive. So now let's look at the fulfillment process one step at a time. Step 1, identify your postage options. First, you received an order. Congratulations. The first thing you need to do is consult your merch store or fulfillment app to pay postage on the order and download the associated packing label and packing slip. The packing label is basically the stamp for your merch order. You can pay for postage online based on your package's weight and the dimensions. You can also choose different shipping options to get the order to your fan quicker if they prefer that, or you can choose budget options if time isn't an issue. Once you've discerned what postage is owed based on these options, you can pay that postage and then receive this packing label. It can then be slapped onto your package, deposited into a corresponding public mailbox, or dropped at a location. And then the barcode on the label will be used to track it through the system when it is scanned in. And that will send updates to your customer as well, assuming your fulfillment app or shop app connects to that tracking. Shipping is different in every country, so it makes sense to do some research on the options available to you based on what you're often selling. So for example, in the US, there's an option for USPS called Media Mail, which is the cheapest possible shipping option, but it can only be used if everything in the package is a CD, cassette, or vinyl. So if you have a shirt in there as well, USPS may randomly audit your package, discern that this one item doesn't make it eligible for media mail, and then require your fan to come into a post office to pay the difference in shipping in order to give them the package. So you'll want to avoid that in that case by using first class mail instead. So your shipping label needs to be paid for based on weight and dimensions of your order, as well as, again, your desired shipping option based on the criteria of the contents and the speed. The next thing is that you need to obtain the packing slip. This is merely the itemized receipt of your order with customer information and descriptions of what was paid for. Very simple, and it should be provided in your store or fulfillment app. To obtain both the label and the slip, you need to consult your store or fulfillment app. For example, Shopify allows you to set weights for your products so that when you get an order, it knows the weight of all of the items combined in that order. Then you can load in the dimensions for your bubble mailer, poly mailer, and boxes, which we talked about a moment ago, and you can select which one you're going to use in an app like Shopify. Shopify then calculates rates for that order based on the weights and dimensions and tells you precisely how much postage it will cost to ship. You can then, right within the app, pay for and download this shipping label so that you can put it on the package for the mail system. If your store app doesn't offer this, you need to either get a fulfillment app such as ShipStation or take it into a local post office or logistics service like FedEx and manually write the shipping and pay for it on location. But this video is called Fulfilling Merch Orders the Right Way, not the long, ramshackle way. So let's quickly look at where we can find the slip and label for any order that we may receive. Okay, so I am here in an app called ShipStation, which is a very common fulfillment app that has many integrations with several common e-com platforms and stores. And I have a whole bunch of orders in here to fulfill. So I want to go through the process of obtaining a packing slip and packing label from this program so that we have everything we need to fulfill our orders. And you'll see how that process works right now. So when you load ShipStation, you will have a variety of queues, maybe from different stores that you have connected to ShipStation, but they will generally all populate in awaiting shipment. Now, I'm not going to do a deep tutorial in here about ShipStation. As you may see, there are some orders that have some warnings, and I'm going to ignore those for now. I will need to fulfill them, but I need some extra info. But I'm just going to select all of the ones that don't have warnings. And what I'm going to do in this case is I have a preset that I can use to apply the bubble mailers that I need for these orders, their dimensions, and choose the right postage I want. In this case, I want to, again, these are all CD orders, so I know that all of them are going to go in bubble mailers, and I know that I'm gonna put media mail as my postage option for all of those. This happens so frequently that I've set up a preset. It reads the bubble mailer's dimensions, and the weight of the orders, and it also applies the media mail option to them. So to do that, in this case, I can click bulk update and apply shipping preset and choose CD's domestic update selection. And all of these orders have now been applied with that preset. If I go into one of these orders, such as this one, we will see their address. We will see various details about the order. On the right side, you will see the service as media mail, the package is bubble mailer, and the dimensions is 10 by 6 by 3. It's not really right, but I'm gonna leave it. It's really negligible with this kind of stuff. And we'll see the rate down here at $3.49 with delivery in 5 days, and I can create and print the label. Now I'm looking in one of these orders, but I wanna do this in bulk. So I have all of them selected, except for the ones with warnings. I just applied the preset to all of those, knowing that they have that media mail applied to them. And now I can just click create and print labels. I'm gonna skip these warnings. These don't really apply to me in this moment, and I'm in control of the stock, so I know what's going on and I know we're good. And it's gonna show me the total of the postage. In this case, it's about $35. This makes sense because it's about $3.50 for media mail, and I have 10 orders selected. So that makes sense, and I'm gonna charge that to my card, and the postage has been paid. And so I have earned these print labels, which you are now viewing in a moment. Here they are. These will get slapped onto the orders. USPS can scan them in, recognize that the postage has been paid, and you can also use that to track the shipping process all the way through, which is great. So I'm gonna download this, and I'm also gonna print packing slips. These are, again, the itemized sort of receipts for these orders that are gonna go inside of the envelopes. I'm gonna download those. And I'm also gonna download this thing called a pick list, which is a function of ShipStation that is very nice. It's just a list of every item amongst these 10 orders. So of the 3 CDs that are included in these orders, I know that I need 10 of this one, 8 of this one, and 3 of this one, which makes it very simple for me to go grab that from my other room and line it up for me on my desk when it's time to fulfill, which we will do momentarily. So that's great. And later on in this video, you'll see me pack these up. So I hope this has been clear for you and you know what a packing slip and label looks like and their role in this process. Great. So now you don't have to be scared about how to actually purchase postage on your order and ensure that your package is ready for the mail system. Now, that brings us finally to step 2, which is printing out your packing label and packing slip. So, you've paid for the label, and now you've downloaded both the label and the slip as files on your computer. What you need to do now is print the label and slip. I recommend buying label paper. This is basically printer ready paper that is essentially a giant sticker that you can print things onto. With this, you can print up to 4 labels on one sheet and then peel off the labels and slap them onto your mailer or box. For this reason, I recommend a label paper that is pre-cut into 4 quadrants. This way you can easily print 4 labels onto just one sheet and merely peel them off as needed, and you save a ton on ink and paper. It also really speeds up the process, but if you don't have the labels, you can merely print on regular computer paper and then cut out the label and tape that paper onto the order. However, this will extend the length of your process greatly. So for the packing slip, you merely need to print it out on regular printer paper. I also recommend for many orders, printing them out as 4 sheets to 1 sheet to save on ink and paper. Then you will have to cut them with a paper cutter or long pair of scissors. But all right, you've received the order, discerned the right shipping options, paid for the postage, and obtained the shipping label and packing slip to complete the order. So now you are on to step 3, setting up your workspace. This sounds redundant, but trust me, you will want to give some attention to this step if you start selling merch regularly. It will cut down time massively to discover your process and set up a workspace accordingly. First, put all of your merch items within arm's reach so that you can grab what's needed for each order. Look, I live alone, so I have the privilege of having this sort of permanently set up. But if you're in a more cramped space or you share a house with roommates, I recommend rounding up all of the merch items you'll need for the orders and then bringing them to a concerted space or desk or even the floor to complete your orders. The point is, you need all the items for the orders within arm's reach during this process. Next, gather up all of the mailers and boxes you'll need to pack the orders. The same principle applies here. You want to make sure all of your materials are within arm's reach. Then I recommend arranging your workspace like so. Labels and slips on the left, all merch items towards the top of your desk, and mailers to your right. Now we're set up to pack the orders, which is step 4. Once you're at your desk and totally set up to fulfill, the first thing to do is review the packing slip and set aside the items needed to fill that order. At this point, you will want to write any notes on the packing slip and sign any relevant items such as CDs with a Sharpie. You'll also want to grab any add-ins such as stickers or pins that may be eligible for this order. Then, discern the mailer you will need for the items on the order. Again, if the order involves apparel, you will want to use a poly mailer. If it involves vinyl, you'll need a box, and if it's just a mix of CDs or cassettes, you'll want to just use a bubble mailer. Carefully pack the relevant mailer to ensure the items will be safe during transit. This means wrapping CDs tightly within shirts if they are going in a poly mailer, for example. For vinyl, you will want to also apply corrugated pads, bubble wrap, or air fill to make sure it's secure in the box or arranged nicely against the shirts or CDs that may also be in the order. Additionally, don't forget to also fold and include the packing slip for the order. Once the relevant mailer or box is loaded with items and the slip, seal the mailer with the adhesive strip or tape the box shut and make sure it's clearly sealed. Now, remove the relevant label from the label paper and stick it onto the package. Repeat this workflow for every order you need to ship, and you're done. So now we're on to step 5, which is putting these suckers in the mail. Okay, so you've got a load of orders, all packed up and ready to be put in the mail. What do you need to do? Thankfully, not much. All you've got to do is take this to the relevant location based on the postage you purchased and drop it off in a Dropbox or with the main desk of that location. It sounds self-explanatory, but for example, if you purchased postage with the United States Postal Service, you need to go to a USPS location. If you use FedEx or UPS, you need to go to one of their drop boxes or mailboxes or go to one of their locations. And this is also the case for other countries. These locations should have a drawer style drop box on location that you can dump orders in, or you can leave them with an attendant if you happen to be there during office hours. Then you never have to think about these stupid things again. Or do you? Step 6, tracking. One last thing I want to point out is the online tracking for each order. Your shipping option should have included a tracking number, which can be monitored through your shop or fulfillment app. It's out of your control when and how it gets to the customer at this point, of course. But I wanted to put this on your mind in case you have a fan wondering where their order is. You simply need to check the tracking number through the postage service you use to see updates and relay that information back to your customer. For example, you might see that it was undeliverable due to an address typo and is getting sent back to you. In this case, you'll be lucky you checked the tracking. Well, okay, that's literally everything there is to know about sending merch orders as an independent musician. This process tends to be a bit of a blind spot for indies selling merch online, so we thought this would be a great video for anyone looking to actually get paid for their music online. And on that point, this video was produced by Indepreneur.io, which is an independent marketing community that's working together to try to improve the monetization potential of every single independent musician trying to build their music career. Much of what we teach and learn about marketing involves monetizing through merch sales, which is why I've come to know this fulfillment process so intimately. If you're watching this video, you probably are curious about selling your band's merch online, but one thing you'll need to figure out is how to capture the attention of potential fans with your music and then turn them into such big fans that they're buying stuff on your merch store. And maybe one day your bedroom will also look like this. We teach independent musicians how to do this every day and even do it for artists of all sizes, even major label artists. Thankfully, since you reached the end of this video, you can join this community for free for 14 days just because I like you. So if you want to start learning how receiving orders so you can employ this newfound fulfillment skill I just taught you, I recommend hopping in there and taking our trainings on sourcing great merch, attracting new fans using video ads, and making sales to those fans year round. Well, you're now officially the most organized and legit musician in your community when it comes to operating your merch store, trust me. I hope these new skills serve you well and have totally eliminated any headache you previously had about shipping orders. So, get out there and start monetizing your music, won't ya? Until next time, peace out, indies.